7 o'clock. Go ahead and call this Public Works and Public Utilities Committee meeting to order. Let's go ahead and stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, comments from citizens. Any comments from citizens?
Make any comments about the stuff you saw, or you want to wait until, I think we'll also let you come up during discussion later, probably, right?
All right, moving on then to Public Works. There's an activity report in our packets. Any questions or comments? Moving on to streets, Jefferson Street sidewalk project update, Micro Engineering.
Don Jenkins is here from Miko Engineering. He's been doing a lot of the work on the project. We had gathering at 6:30 to kind of have an open house format so that people could have a look at the plan. We are currently at the stage of acquiring right-of-way. We have one permanent easement to obtain from the, well, I guess it's two parts, but from the, there's one owner of property from whom we need to get a permanent easement, as we already knew, and that's the school district. And then there are 3 properties where we need temporary easements for construction. We are, they'll get the plans together, and then February 1st will be about for to go out for bid. We also have Jenny Jones, who's the project manager from Missouri Department of Transportation and the LPA program. Don, you want to?
Get ready to stand here, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you
Passed out several of the project packets we have put together so far. From now until February 1st, there might be some minor changes. For the most part, these are kind of set for what we're going to do and what we have designed. Just walking through the packet real quick. The second sheet, just sign locations, traffic control options, just small different items that we'll need in the packet. On to the third sheet, this will be our erosion control plan. We'll have ditch checks and different things throughout the project, so we won't have any erosion or any kind of soil running off the project location. On to the fourth sheet, this is where the sidewalk project starts. We'll start on Bryson Drive and head east down to Jefferson, and then on both sides of the road, east and west side, we'll start sidewalk, then to go north all the way up to Cox Street. Here on the west side of the road, we'll have a culvert, box culvert, and a bridge over it with a handrail. We'll paint that whatever color you guys would like, school colors or whatever going on from there. Going on to the fifth sheet, we
you
then...
made a joke, you grew up in Louisiana.
Yeah, so we couldn't paint maroon if you guys wanted us to. You guys whipped my butt in football growing up, so gotta get what I can. And then on sheet 5, heading north, it's the sidewalk on both sides. Underneath it are the 2 profiles for the elevations and how it's going to run all the way down to the project. We'll have a crosswalk just south of that first entrance. That'll come across, and then it'll come up and meet with Emerald Drive. On the east side of the road, we'll have stormwater that'll be under the ground. That ditch will be gone, and we'll have stormwater inlets all the way down the east side to get rid of that ditch and get all the stormwater off the road. 6th sheet is the last section of sidewalk that goes up to Cox Road. It's Cox Street. We'll have crosswalks. We'll have everything. All the sidewalks 5 foot. It's all ADA compliant. We'll have ADA crosswalks and everything to meet up with ADA. All the easements we need are shown in here. There's some spots that have bigger easements, and that's where low areas were found in our survey. and we'll need to regrade those to make sure all the stormwater gets off the project and goes into the inlets. So we don't have water standing. Cross sections on page 7 of the sidewalk just show it as it goes through. These are more for the contractor to know. On page 9 is a stormwater profile. This is the profile of the 18-inch CMP into the 24-inch and how elevations and what kind of slopes we'll have. Your town is incredibly flat, so this is a little bit of an issue, but we think we got it all worked out under control. On 10, this is all the driveway sections. Everywhere where it crosses the driveway, we have the different elevations. Some driveways we'll try to keep if they match ADA requirements. We won't have to change them, but if they don't, we'll have to take out the driveways and put a sidewalk through it to meet with the slopes, the 2% cross slopes for ADA compliance.
When you say take out the driveway, you mean the section?
Yeah, just the section where the sidewalk will go through and then regrade it to match it through. We won't just get rid of it completely.
Yes.
So.
I don't think anybody would make that mistake, but I just want to make sure.
Sheet 12 is the detail for the pedestrian handrail. This is the type of handrail we will put in at that box culvert just to the south of the school. And then your last sheet is miscellaneous details. These are all the typical crosswalk sections for the sidewalk, for all the ADA ramps, for expansion joint details, and all just the typical details for everything as we going into the project. That's where we're at right now. Like I said, most of this is going to stay. But if there's any questions you guys have on any of it, and even in the future, looking at this over the next couple of days, you guys can send me an email, get in contact with me, I can answer any questions.
You know about how many ADA ramps are going to be?
There'll have to be an ADA ramp at each time we cross the driveway or cross the street or anything like that.
Okay.
I tried to answer as many questions as I could before the meeting, but if anybody else has any other questions for me at this point.
One comment that did come up during the meeting beforehand was there is an interest among property owners here to come back with street lighting, and made the point that we may, if we're successful with this project, and I think we will be, it will be increasing pedestrian traffic, which would increase the need for street lights south of south of the Baca property, where I think the last street light is now. So that's something to think about. It won't be part of this project per se, because with that project is, but we can, work and get prices and that kind of thing to look at that. Since we have our own electric utility and poles down there, that it may work without a huge investment. Jane, did you want to say anything? Comment?
You covered pretty much everything.
We're not in trouble right now?
No, I'll stalk you guys down if you are.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
We want them to hear that mostly.
Yes, because we want to make sure this project goes to construction no later than June 1st next year. It's very aggressive turnaround for these projects, for all the LPA projects. Projects were selected in January, or the announcement was made in January this year, so it's an 18-month turnaround. So.
And right now we're on schedule, just like the schedule we guys gave to you when we came first for the job, and we're hoping to get all the bids in by February 1st, or get all the design turned into MoDOT by February 1st, and we want to have this done under construction by May when school lets out, and then be done by the time school lets back in to get.
So by the time it comes to MoDOT, we allow. The final plans will go to, well, number one, we have to get right of way cleared. I believe all the environmental is cleared on this project. Final plans will come to MoDOT. I distribute that out to the Central District design staff, our traffic staff, the area engineer, or the resident engineer, which will be Chuck Sullivan out of the Columbia Project Office, for them to review. We give them 2 weeks to get comments back. We'll send those to Miko. We'll copy Centralia on that. We'll also get the disadvantaged business enterprise goal established for the project. Assuming that there's only a minor things to be changed, I'll request the funds to be obligated. That takes FHWA about 2 weeks to release those funds. And once funds are obligated, then we can advertise for construction. Minimum of 3 weeks for the advertisement. It has to be in the local paper and then also on the MoDOT LPA website. Once bids are open, concurrence and award, we should be able, assuming everything goes in line.
According to plan.
Yes. And working with Centralia and the contractor to make sure that this is under construction by after school gets out, and then before school starts. And you'll have those stipulations within in the bid
Yep.
packet.
Very good.
Any other?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Alright, moving on to the preliminary list of streets for repair.
Well, that's what, Phil and I went out this last, on Friday and took a look at, a number of streets. We had hoped to get it out and look around a little bit sooner. I will send you the list that we're looking at. The cost to do all the streets that I'd like to get done and that Phil would like to get done this year will exceed the amount we have available, which is a little under $200,000. We'll have a list of priority streets. You get a chance to look at it, make suggestions for streets to add and which ones, to take off and that kind of thing. But largely, that list is going to include a lot of streets that were on the original list you saw last year. And there's one of the things that we will be looking at is, thank you for coming.
Matt, you're coming up to sign, right? You're gonna document sign?
Yeah, I'll come.
Or you want us to sign them now?
I'll contact you tomorrow.
Okay.
You brought them with you, but I'll get in touch with you the next day or two, and we'll
Okay.
get that taken care of. Thank you.
Thanks.
That list will be, and it'll put it down. It's one of the things to discuss on Saturday. So yeah, there are also, what I was going to say, there's a couple of streets where we probably still need to do a little bit of prep work before we get them done this year. I'd like to see, one of the ones I think we talked about a lot, the West Winds, Briarwood, Eastmont. I'd like to see that done. Since we're also bringing the sidewalk project over to that area, it'd be nice to get it all done in the same year and make a big splash. But there's some curb and gutter to do there. There's curb and gutter and some other work we're going to look at. We had, if you guys probably remember, a group of neighbors from Mays Meadow. I don't know that we'd be ready to overlay that. I think there's some other stuff we need to do first that would probably be suggested as both concrete repairs and more like an overlay. If you just throw asphalt over that right now with the stormwater issues, it's going to be a 5-10 year fix, and we'd like to try and make sure we get everything else looked at. Along that line, I'd probably be bringing an idea for look at some other solutions. I think it would be good to have an actual stormwater plan for that street.
Our street list will narrow down a little bit after the winter. We'll see how hard the winter is on some of the streets.
We typically made the final decision in February, March. I was finalizing the budget.
Moving on to sanitation, anything?
Trash is about normal if we can keep all our trucks running.
Yeah.
We are up a little bit, tons per week this about
I know I
5 or
had a
6
lot this last week, but.
It's just been one of them months. I mean, we've had hydraulic issues, brake problems, just trucks wouldn't even wanna run, so one thing after another this month, so.
Who's driving the garbage collection? Is Jimmy still?
Yeah, Jimmy's still driving them. Yeah, it, most of it's just, the one truck, they come in, just shut it off, and it just would never start again.
Well, the reason I asked,
Yeah.
there one day I noticed a younger guy driving it,
Yeah, he was probably off one day,
and he was getting on it pretty good.
they get in a hurry. But we've had just hydraulics, I mean, which, there's tons of hydraulic things on that, so it's just, something's always going wrong.
Alright, what about stormwater?
We've done a few little projects, and we're getting ready to replace some rusted storm sewer down here on Island Bruton, so just trying to replace some of the old stuff that's in town now.
Anything another?
Nope.
Alright, water and sewer department, there's an activity report in our packet. Any questions or comments?
You know, Mike is working on, working with, contractors on getting, budget prices for lining, manholes and storm sewer. We'll be needing to spend, you know, similar amounts on that for a few years to come. We've got some, we're not looking at any, line replacement right now, so most of what we're looking at is lining, as opposed to pulling out the entire pieces.
Alright, moving on. Water plant improvements update.
I didn't have a chance to talk as much as I'd like to with John Kramer from Gonzalez. We do have of course, the aerator is on order, and we are looking at some other pieces. So what we'll probably have, hopefully for this weekend actually, is kind of some priorities and kind of an idea of how much we could spend. One of the questions that we'll also be talking about is and I think you guys had this discussion about 6 or 7 years ago, about coming up with a schedule of repairs. I think we had the report that Burns and Mack did in 2008. We've knocked off a couple of those items, but there's a lot we haven't done. One of them was the aerator, and whether or not to have a parallel second aerator. I think getting one aerator in now is important. Were you able to do that test for the sand filter, the filter?
They came in last Wednesday, and we had a demonstration on an air scour system, kind of show what we were able to do with our backwash as it is now. And we had them, they basically fed it down into the sand and did an air scour with their setup, I guess you want to say. They had a manifold system, how it would be put in. And we know we've got some issues with our filters right now. I think we've got some under drain issues that we're going to have to look at. I'm going to have to contact DNR about some treatment probably pretty quick on some things we're looking at, because we're having a lot of line carryover right now. But demonstration showed we definitely got some issues we're going to have to look at with the filters.
Did that solution seem like it might be promising?
It made the way we do it right now look pretty sad, so yeah. It definitely did a lot clear, it cleared it up in no time, which we're not able to get right now. And I think that's because some of our under drains are either clogged up, or we may have an issue with some of them being broke. So something we're gonna have to look at a little bit further. And I've got to get the treatment issue taken care of first, because if I keep carrying the line on, it's not gonna do any good to get the filters clean. We're just gonna keep building them up. So I'm gonna talk to DNR and see if we get a little assistance there.
So we'll work on a must be done, could be done, can wait kind of list. And then we can, and then once we know what we have to repair and get a schedule, we can look at if we need to increase revenues to make that happen. We have extremely low rates, which is very attractive not only to consumers but to businesses. So we always, I know that Lynn has worked very hard to keep water and sewer rates very affordable for families and for businesses. But we can't not operate. You can't go to a certain to the extent that Mike can't keep the plant running in the long term.
Right.
Yeah. And there are some solutions like Mike's talking. He's got a crew of 4 people, fully staffed, and he's and things that save time and save are pretty important.
Okay, consumer confidence report.
This is I guess a mea culpa. It was submitted slightly late, and apparently the way that we put the DNR requires that you submit a consumer confidence report. Basically, is a report that goes out to the public that tells how we did on a long list of tests. We have not had any problems since 2002 or 3. So the punishment will be having to announce the fact that we didn't do it right this year in next year's CCR. As long as we don't. One of the other things is we published the website, but we published the website for the front page. It has to be a direct link, so that the entire URL that goes directly to that page is what you put in your newsletter, or in our case, on our postcard utility bills. It cannot be a link to, it can't be the front page, and it can't be, even if the link is right there, it has to be. So that was that, and it was in the report on how we reported the data was in to their office. And that's my fault, and we'll get it fixed next year.
Okay. All right. Moving on to sewer. Anything?
But there was nothing wrong with the water supply. It was safe. We just didn't tell people it was safe properly. Okay.
We're gonna try to be spending a lot of time, start TV and going through that again, and like you said, we're trying to get our list together, the worst spots, maybe some main lining and some manhole rehab, so that's what we're doing on that.
All right. Other? Anything other? That's it. All right. Moving on to electric department. There's an activity report in our packet. Any questions or comments? Moving on to distribution, underground conduit installation, the boring update.
I just want to say before I make the report, I again want to thank Don Jenkins and Jane Jones for coming up here. Thank Don also for bringing the cookies. you are more than welcome to stay, but if you want to get up and leave, no one is going to think anything bad about you for leaving. But okay. So.
Well, if you guys have any questions, maybe I can help out with
Okay. that is.
I really can't contribute to anything else.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna.
Not at all.
skip
That's
out.
fine. I
Thank you
specifically said that. So.
Thank you for understanding.
Yeah.
It's nice
Thank you
meeting
for coming
everybody.
up, Judy. Yep. Have a safe trip back.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll leave some business cards at the end if you guys have any questions.
And MoDOT staff has been great about this whole thing, particularly Jenny. She's very good about making sure that we don't slip on any deadlines. So that's very
It's
easy.
just what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Thank you for keeping that in track.
not that hard, honestly. So,
Well, with Nico's help, it's the easiest step. Thanks again, Jim.
Did you need me to sign in on this?
I've got your name. That was.
You know how to find me?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm trying to make sure I don't miss. We try and put the people who are in the meeting in the minutes. And
Okay.
I've got his minutes. So
Apologize for interrupting any further.
All
No.
right, thank you.
Fine.
Have a good evening.
Happy holidays, guys.
You
Thank
too.
you. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Back to
The boring update.
the boring update. Yes. Well, it's gotten a little bit more exciting. We do have one full. Okay, there are 3 bores. There's the just KC Southern bore on the west side of town that is done. The boring is done. They pulled both the casing and the inner conduit. That project is sealed and except for growing the grass back, it's done. They have bored the line under both tracks at the teardrop. They did not. There's been concern from particularly the engineers and Kansas City Southern about fracking, about water being forced up while they're pushing underground 10 feet and making some. I don't know if they're worried about what kind of mess they're worried about.
Mess, I guess.
Yeah, I talked to. The Little Rock's #1 guy, Al, I think Alan Rakers, yeah, Alan Rakers, because there's Alan Rakers, anyway, Alan Rakers. And he said that they have come to a much better understanding as to what is possible and what is not possible to prevent. And it was moving pretty well today. They thought they might be able to pull the casing through. They didn't get that done. But the plan was to get started. I talked to him about 2:30 today. I don't know if you stopped by later.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock when I stopped by.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to talk to him because he was too busy, but
Right.
I could see they hadn't hooked up to the casing yet.
Yeah.
So I knew it wasn't gonna happen today.
Yeah, they were going. The latest they were going to try and start was about 3 o'clock, and they hadn't done it. And so it's there. It's ready to go. They'll probably pull it through tomorrow morning. So they might have that one and be done with Kansas City Southern tomorrow. Apparently Kansas City Southern was getting antsy because they wanted to move their flagman onto the project. So we're sorry that we kept Kansas City Southern. We've slowed their schedule down.
Yes.
Because all this is recorded, I'm going to move on. So then there'll be one more bore over there by Bar Street to January. So
Alright.
they're just protecting their interests. That's fair.
Moving on to generation, power purchase agreement update, legal fees.
Oh, this would be similar to past years, except for the price would probably be a little bit higher because Hannibal is out. So there's a Margaret McDonald with Spiegel and McDermott has worked to go meticulously through the purchase power agreements each time, just asking authority from the committee to bring you back a contract. We're looking at about $7,000, somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 in legal fees.
Is that how much more than last year?
You know, I don't know what we spent last, so I'll go back and check. I mean, last year would have been,
Right.
I don't know, if it was 2008. I'm trying to remember the original. We did a couple of amendments to it, so that's going back to 2012, 2011. But I can find out.
I was just curious.
I talked to Merritt about this, and it's something definitely that he agrees that Spiegel and McDermott is a firm to hire. And we would be splitting. They would negotiate a series of contracts for Marceline, ourselves, and Cahokia. This is going with going with a full requirements purchase. And then maybe California's going to join the group. So when you see that in 2 weeks, that's what It is an absolutely necessary expense. You don't want to.
All right, community solar.
We have our first probably distributed generation project moving forward at Kincaid's Pharmacy. I guess what I wanted to do is there's been a lot of, the MPUA has got a community solar committee. Mark and I are on the mailing list. We could go look into the possibility of city generation projects, even with a full requirements contract. I just want to make you aware that these projects are out there. And if there is interest from if this is something that's a priority with anybody on the committee or the Board of Aldermen, what we're talking about is there are different types. Community solar is some sort of incentive to have people reduce our peak by using solar energy in distributed generation. I'm not promoting that. I just want to check if anybody had gone to MML or something like that and got excited about this. If you want me to continue bringing back information about this. And the other possibility is the city looking into some sort of city project or cooperative project to come up, if we get to a point where it looks like we might be pushing the limit on our 10 megawatt limit, it may be a project that will be worth pursuing. There are tax credits through 2016 which would not, the city ourselves would not benefit from it unless we did a purchase power agreement with a for-profit who would build and lease space from us and operate, and we would buy power from them. I haven't seen any project yet that I thought was, I think the scale of when it gets big enough to be affordable, it gets around 2 megawatts, which would be more than we would have in the need for. So, and I just thought I'd let you know that we're looking into this, and if there's any, I don't see anyone getting too excited about it. We've been approached by a couple of firms to pursue some projects. I haven't seen anything yet that really is a benefit to the city. And that's all. That's that.
All right, moving on to other, replacing police car.
You have in your packet it says an invoice, but it's a quote from the Missouri State Highway Patrol to buy a new police car to replace the one that was damaged in an accident, responding to a call. We had somebody cut in front of one of our police cars who lost control, put it on the railroad tracks, and it is
Toward the underside of that.
yeah, it is there. I have filed an insurance claim. They're going to send somebody to take a look at it. We can retain it for salvage, but that's what the chief would like to do. Particularly, he'd like to get the engine and the transmission out of it, which I think is valuable. It could be used in other Crown Vics that we own. It's a 2004. Is that right, Chief? That went on the tracks.
It's a 2004.
It's the one that would have been replaced in April. So we're asking for $15,100 to replace it now. It would. The only big difference is that we're going to move the purchase up a few months. We do have money.
It's in the budget.
Well, it's not in the budget for this year,
Okay.
which is the reason. Yeah, but we can't really wait till April 1st. This would be unless something else goes wrong, this will be in lieu of purchasing one in April.
Okay.
So is this an accident that would be paid for by by the other person?
There was no contact with the other vehicle.
Right.
No doubt about that we got pulled out in front of,
Yeah.
but there was no contact with the other vehicle. They're gonna hold us off and subrogate us to,
Yeah, it should.
it's a police car. It's that's the business we're in.
Sort of a long drawn out process.
And Janine and Moperm said that's a long shot to get subrogation when there wasn't actual, like exactly what the chief said. It's, you know, since there was not contact.
You can always call me Larry, because chief is always subject to change. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just there. So, I'm asking for permission from the committee to go ahead and pursue the purchase of this car, and we will continue to finish out the claim and the demise of the.
As it stands now, cars over this and D, we're gonna take every nut and bolt off of it and put it in a refrigerator box marked police department with the engine, transmission, right down to the window motors, everything that we can take off that car that we might be able to use later. And for that, we don't have to pay for, we're not gonna pay him labor for taking all that stuff off. He's gonna keep the shell of the old car. I suspect using a demo there would be my guess if I know what's up.
And and I had a chance to catch up with Larry there today, but there's a chance that we'll get a little. There's the actual cash value minus the salvage value minus the $500 deductible. We still may have a little bit of money to put towards the new vehicle, essentially. But it's not, you know, and you guys understand that this goes into general fund. The money comes out of general fund, it doesn't. But it balances. So some of the costs will be defrayed of the newer police car. It'll be our first Charger.
So 2012 Dodge Charger, can't buy Crown Vics anymore, it's a thing of the past. So
And this comes with a light bar in that price.
it's, everything is included, that way we don't have to spend 3 or 4 days trying to.
Right. I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
So you need a motion tonight?
Right. Do I hear a motion to?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all very kindly. Now, the second question is the mayor pro tem gonna be in town tomorrow, so I can get a check and get down there and get it?
I'll be in town tomorrow.
Oh, then disregard on the mayor pro tem.
Yeah.
When we get that check knocked out, I'll go down there and get that Tuesday or tomorrow or Wednesday, so we can get that done.
I have to take a trip to Ashland tomorrow morning, so
That'll
if
give
we
them
if
time
we get
to
that first thing in the morning,
do their
I
thing.
can shoot you down there and take it all the way to Jeff City if need to.
Well, they'll need some time to get their check. The time you get back and get it signed,
Okay.
I'll be road ready.
Okay.
I appreciate this, thank you all.
Yep.
We did get pulled out in front of, but
Thankfully, nobody was.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Alright, moving on to the use tax for out-of-state sales of automobiles.
In your packet, towards the end, was a 2-page question and answer, or fact, frequently asked questions and answers put together by the Missouri Municipal League staff. This was brought up at the Boone County Municipal Dinner. If we want to join them, and I think Boone County is still planning to proceed with putting this on their ballot. They asked the cities to participate. I have not had I really haven't had the chance today or Friday to talk to Brad Forrest. The reason I bring up his name is because the anticipated amount of revenue based on the state of Missouri study in 2000, or the Department of Revenue's quick and dirty estimate of how much the city of Centralia could lose to the change in the law, or the change in the interpretation of the law based on a court case. If somebody in Centralia goes and buys a car in Columbia, we get sales tax. Columbia, Missouri, we get sales tax. If they drive to Maryville or buy a car from another person, we do not get sales tax. If they go to across out of state.
Right.
You go to Kansas City, Kansas. They go to Lenexa. Thank you. We do not get sales tax. This is if we can pass a municipal ordinance, which the MML has a model ordinance design, where we would retain that revenue. The estimate of lost revenue by Department of Revenue was around $18,000 a year. That is probably high because what they did is they took 21%, which is the amount of tax from out-of-state sales. It's probably going to be closer to 40 or 50% in Kansas City, Missouri, or St. Louis, Missouri, or maybe border states. It's probably going to be significantly less here. But what it does do is it makes it attractive to, if you would save $1,000, $1,500 in tax, you might drive to whatever the most southern city in Iowa, or maybe you got a reason to go to Kansas anyway. You might go to Forest, pick out your car, and go across the state line and buy it. So that is the crux of this. There is a general use tax, and then there's a use tax specifically for vehicles. We're talking specifically about use tax for vehicles because of the law, the change in the law, or the way it's enforced after a lawsuit back in 2000 that was decided in about 2010.
So currently, if you buy a vehicle out of state, I understand where you wouldn't pay Missouri sales tax, would you pay sales tax in the state where you purchase?
I think it depends upon the state. But if you paid it here, you would be excused or get a refunded there. You do not have to pay it twice. But if Missouri doesn't charge a sales tax, I think some states.
I believe, Matt, that you pay your sales tax, particularly with automobile or something, a registration statute,
At the time of registration.
based on your address.
Yeah.
Go buy a car,
Yeah.
buy a car at Shopkirk and Quincy,
Yeah.
they're gonna say, well, what's your sales tax? 7.25.
Well, you pay your sales tax when you pick up your license.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So you'll pay it on your address.
You still got a license.
Even if
It
you
doesn't
buy it out of
matter.
state.
It's not taxed at that point.
Yeah, if you buy, but if you
buy it out of state, you do not pay Missouri sales tax.
right.
Not out of state. You pay the Missouri sales tax when you register your vehicle.
No, you don't.
No, you don't anymore. If you bought it out of state.
Not if you buy it out of state. Or if you buy it from an individual.
I just did that last year, and they charged me sales tax.
Well, but there was a lawsuit in the meantime, and they can't do that anymore.
So I get my sales tax back?
Probably not
Not
that.
anymore, yeah. How long ago did you buy the truck?
A little bit less than a year ago.
Thank y'all. I'm gonna go.
Thank you, Chief.
They're not supposed to.
That's, yeah, you should, you,
Okay. No,
I'm glad you did.
That's fine.
but, you're not,
Yeah. Because
yeah.
that's usually used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other
Well,
thing
but
is,
you buy, you do on used vehicles any other time. You get it from the dealer. Yes.
when, after that lawsuit passed, after that lawsuit was decided,
In the past, you always have a person
the
sales.
state passed a window of opportunity for the cities to pass this. The window of opportunity closes in November of 16. Or I guess, I don't know, it's November, it's after the November elections, maybe it's the end of the year, but, so essentially in November of 16. But Boone County's moving forward in April, and they wanted us to, the question, and we can discuss, I can put it back on the agenda for more discussion if there's some other additional questions. But do you want me to prepare an ordinance for the December 21st meeting to put it on the ballot? It has to pass, and the city then would be able to continue charging, collecting sales tax in every case, not just the ones that slip through, but for out-of-state sales of vehicles or person-to-person sales.
Yes, we do want to collect now that I just bought the new vehicle, they have the sales tax on it.
But you would have been happy to pay it if the law.
Yeah, I would have been happy to pay it if the law had been enforced.
I didn't complain about it, so.
So is, I don't know if I show of hands, but what I'm hearing is go ahead and prepare the ordinance.
Is it gonna be on the April ballot or the November
It would
ballot?
be for the April ballot. That's why I wouldn't do it by December. Besides, if we do it in the November ballot, we already have to pay for an April ballot.
Okay,
Right.
We
no,
probably,
that's fine.
yeah, the cost of the,
Okay.
Well, we might wait till, make sure we do have an April election.
Oh, I think you're gonna have one.
Not if there's no uncontested races.
I think you're gonna see one.
Well, I suspect we will, but I,
okay.
All right.
All right, labor negotiations.
I would like to hire Ivan Schrader to look at our MOU. I talked to Mary about this. He thinks that would be a good idea before we go through. Since this is my first time, this is not something I'm going to do every time, but before we go to negotiation with the union, I'm not asking for him to come in. I'm not going to show up in what has been always a very cordial meeting and my arms crossed and my lawyer next to me. That's not what I'm talking about. When I'm just having him take a look at it and see if there's some stuff that we have not looked at in a number of years. He's one of about 3 or 4 statewide recognized experts in this area. It's not an attempt to make life difficult for the union. I think they do a lot of good for our community by representing our workers and presenting, especially safety and that kind of concerns. So, but I just wanted to take that. So it would be somewhere. So I suspect that the contract would be slightly over $500, and that's why I would need your guys' approval on a contract. If it's under 500, and I wouldn't want to do it without your. So that would be. This would be to. If you guys don't think that's a good idea, I won't bring it back on the 21st, but this is to proceed with that. Like all these specialized lawyers, he's expensive. He charges $275 an hour. That's less than the Spiegel and McDermott attorney. But we're talking about a couple of hours worth of work. He's not going to travel here. He's just going to look at it and send back home. It may be less. It may be less than $500. He said probably an hour and a half, but I'm figuring.
Aaron is, okay. I don't have a problem with that if the board doesn't. I think it's prudent to make sure that we've got everything covered and we're not doing anything, it's gonna make us look bad or.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
Draft's agenda for retreat Saturday, December 12th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Is that the packet?
Last page.
And I'll arrange for sandwiches. What I'd probably do is send you out a menu from Subway, and we'll have that ahead of time, unless somebody wants, or Grinders.
Or check the rest.
So what?
Or check the rest.
Well, probably not, because they're doing the Christmas party. So I don't know if you want the same thing twice a week.
Yeah.
Anything in as may arise?
I have a couple of things. Wanted to ask, we did get the grant proposal in for the dual hopper trash truck, right?
The preliminary application was sent.
Do you know when they're gonna vet those or?
Oh, no, I just sent them a preliminary.
Okay,
Yeah, finals are due in January.
okay, great.
And one of the things we'll discuss in greater detail at the retreat is the surveys. And generally speaking, of the 95 responses or so we got on that question, commingled would be people like that idea.
Okay.
So I think we got data from the survey to say that we have a good reason to pursue that, right?
Okay. The general municipal election is April 5th. The open filing period is December 15th through January 19th.
And there should be an ad in the newspaper day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
For
Okay. And finally, did you want to say something about APEC leasing some space?
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask you if you want
Well, it was on.
It didn't make it to this kind of agenda.
It did not make it to this kind of agenda. There was a version. It was a number 3 under streets.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The APAC came in today. They would like to maybe they are considering putting a bid on the overlay project for Highway 22 that should be let for the summer. They could save a great deal of money if they could set up a temporary asphalt plant somewhere near the project. And they looked at a spot kind of near where the animal shelter is, slightly east of there. There's
Our old mixing table is what it is.
yeah. They would basically if the board committee doesn't object, we'll put together sort of an estimate of what we'd want in exchange for that.
Some street overlay.
Well,
Yeah.
that is a possibility. It could be in kind, it could be rent, it could, and keep in mind that if that's where their mixing table is, if that's where their temporary asphalt plant is, their costs of providing asphalt for our road overlay would be substantially reduced, and therefore they could have an adequate chance to compete. I thought Christensen did a great job last year. I would have a problem with them getting the asphalt plant here, and if Christensen still beat them on price, we'd still go with Christensen. But, and maybe Christensen will approach us with the same idea later if they want to be on this project. But generally speaking, are you guys amenable with the possibility of most of the summer, there being a temporary asphalt plant there, and trucks running up and down Ann Street and back around, or back around Roland to
Randolph.
To 22.
I would assume that if they did any damage to Ann Street, that they would repair that.
Yeah, that's something we can put in the lease agreement, or anything that's damaged, they would, definitely repair.
I'd keep them off Ann Street and send them to Randolph as much as you can.
Maybe they'll asphalt that.
That's all gravel out there.
Well, they'll destroy Roland. There'll be one asphalt street or the other will get wore out.
Well, at least there's no houses on Rolling like there is on Ann Street.
Yeah. But, and they don't even know if it's big enough. They're gonna bring their plant supervisor up and look to see if the spot's even big enough. It may not even be big enough to be a mute point, so.
Well, that's, Phil, when they were talking about that, Phil mentioned that there was another, whether it's to bring empty trucks in on Ann and then full trucks out around like that way so they can have a nice flow of traffic, or if it's, simply just, unidirectional, or in and out through the one street to avoid it. But is that, there would be, when the wind's from the north, there could be some smell come back towards, if the wind were from the northeast, you could smell it in the Tidball Trailer Court, and northwest, possibly over by the country club.
If anybody drives 22, I don't think they'll complain about the smell.
It's only it's temporary. It's not gonna be there for a long time.
No, it's just the summer, whether if they get,
Yeah.
you know, if it even works and the project goes through and all that, so.
But they're trying to put together a bid packet. They want to know from us if it's something that they can plan around that as a possibility.
Yeah.
I would certainly be available to the idea,
Yeah. Same here.
assuming that they will repair the street if they tear it up.
Right.
Is
Okay.
anything, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I also don't live out there.
Right.
I know there's several residents of the trailer court, and there's several residents by the country club. I've never been around an asphalt plant. Just how stinky is it? Anybody know?
Smells like asphalt.
Oh, my asphalt.
Huh?
You're
Have
gonna
you
smell
driven
asphalt.
through
Yeah.
have you driven through
On
a
down
construction
Springfield.
site?
You smell it driving down the forty-four.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never thought it was that bad, but then,
One of the things I will do is I'll talk to the city of Macon. We asked them where they had done this before, and they had it inside the city of Macon. I know the city administrator certainly find people up there to report back on what they thought, you know, what they charged and what their experience was with it.
One thing about it, you're not gonna get much north wind in the summertime.
No.
Well, that's yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yes,
It's
it
not a
would be
bad.
worse than other times of the year.
Right.
One thing I'd say, keep them off Main Street unless you can, empty or full.
And
Cause there's kids out there and everything else,
right.
and there's nothing on Randolph.
Right.
The one thing I say.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.